You Booked It, episode number 2. Hey, entertainers and performers of the world. I'm your host, Dane Reese, and welcome to You Booked It, where I chat with inspiring entertainers 7 days a week. By digging into their journey, we're going to discover everything you need to do to be a successful entertainer. You know, because training usually skips that part about how to actually make your skills work for you in the real world. Fellow entertainers, my drive here at You Booked It is to share the inspiring and incredible journeys of successful entertainers. We are here to support your journey. So go to youbookeditpodcast.com and join the You Booked It email community where we dig deep into truly actionable things you can be doing right now to help you book that next audition, submission, or gig. If you enjoy this free podcast, please show your support and search for You Booked It on Apple Podcast or your favorite podcast app where you can subscribe so you don't miss an episode, leave a rating and review. And to show our appreciation for your, fingers crossed, 5-star rating and review, I will give you a shout out on an upcoming episode. And now, let's do this. All right, let's get started. I am excited to introduce my guest today, my good friend, Michael Forsch. Are you ready for this, Michael?
I'm ready, brother.
Fantastic. Michael has been in entertainment for a long time, and he started his career as a child actor, performing in small roles on shows like The Wonder Years. Michael is trained in musical theater and film acting and has danced on stages all over the world. His latest film credits include Party Bus to Hell, where he worked with Tara Reid, as well as Immortal Wars Resurgence, starring Eric Roberts. Michael is also a writer, director, and producer. And as a producer, his short film Burrow won Best Short Film at the 2019 Hollywood Dreams Film Festival. And his featured film, The Christmas Cabin, has signed a worldwide distribution deal with Fabrication Films and is available to stream on Amazon Prime today. Michael, that's a quick intro of who you are and what you've done, but why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself and fill in the gaps? Who you are, where you're from, where you're currently calling home, and a little bit more about what you do as a professional in the entertainment industry.
Oh, man. What don't I do? How long do we have again?
Oh, geez, 30 minutes?
All right. Well, I'll summarize.
Exactly.
I'm from Los Angeles, but I've spent the last 14 years here, something like that, in Vegas.
Yep.
I guess, if you want to boil everything down, I do to a sentence. I'm primarily an actor and a producer, but I could also say I'm a writer, director, casting director, choreographer, company manager, and for the right price, a really, really good production assistant.
For the right price is definitely the right thing to say in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I've seen you on so many gigs just grinding through all of the submissions for whatever the film project that you're working on. You're always busy, always doing something.
Yeah, I just I've always been that way. I don't sit still well.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, well, let's move on to our next question. And look, as you know, I am a sucker for a good quote. What is your favorite quote that you'd like to share with everyone?
How about quotes? Or is that cheating?
Oh, okay, you can do multiple.
Okay. I guess my personal quote is dream big, but pay attention to the small details.
Absolutely.
And yeah. Also, this is kind of corny, but I love some good old Nike fun.
Yeah, but corny's the best, man. Just do it.
Do it.
Yes, I love that one.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess expanding on that, how have you applied those two quotes then to your daily life or your career?
Well, I guess I've always operated from this point of view. I decide my goal, even if it sounds insane, and start with the small details and work my way up. And
Beautiful.
yeah,
And it
it's
just
worked
starts
so far.
evolving over time.
Yeah. I mean, I've done many things where I just been like, okay, I'm gonna make a movie. And I pull my friends together and say, "Look, you guys want to make it?" That's kind of been my operating basis. Like, dream big, find something that you really want to do, and start working from the beginning, one step at a time. What can I say? I also say just do it, because I see so many people say they are quote unquote actors, quote unquote writers or entertainers, etc., but they aren't doing anything about it. You have to just do it. So people tell me, what if there aren't any opportunities around for you to pursue your dreams? I say, make them. Find a friend, write a script, or find an actor and give them your script. If you keep making things, especially good things, people will notice, and suddenly, voila, you've got opportunities, man.
Yeah, I love that. And you know what, I feel a lot of the same ways about how I approach the things that I do. And yeah, when you think about that first idea or dream or project that you want to work on, it's so far off, right? You obviously can fantasize and dream about what it could possibly be, but at the end of the day, that result is so far in the distance, and that, trying to not let that cloud your vision or get overwhelmed by that, but really it is all those minute little steps forward that make the difference.
It really is like lots of organization, communication, and planning, but people are doing it. You just have to put in the persistence and the time and the effort. That's the hard part.
Absolutely. It's the simple things and the easy things that are the hardest to do,
Exactly.
because it's just as easy to not do. All right. Well, let's move on to the next section.
Okay.
All right. So, Michael, you're an entertainer. I'm an entertainer. And I think you'd agree that the entertainment industry is one of the most subjective, brutally honest, and personally emotional industries in existence. And you know as well as I that to create and to have a successful career in this industry, like you're having now, takes a lot of dedication and hard work. And while there is an outrageous amount of fun and excitement being an entertainer, there's also, your fair share of obstacles, challenges, and failures that we're inevitably going to experience and we have to move forward through. So tell us, what is one key challenge, obstacle, or failure that you've experienced in your career, and how did you come out the other side better because of it?
Man, failure. I have a different way of looking at it now. Um, Failure is the best teacher to me. Uh,
And has that evolved throughout your career? Did you view it differently in the beginning?
oh, oh yeah. Uh, yeah, especially as I think everybody has to go through this as a performer. Is like rejection is just part of the process. But it stings, man. It hurts. Um, and also not getting the part, or even getting up on stage and not doing well, that hurts too. um, you know it, but at the same time, as I've gotten older, I don't really look at failure the same way. It's depressing, sure, but I've also learned to try and look at what went wrong and how I can better from the situation. For example, my first short film, Burrow, was set mostly on the road in a beat up 1974 Chevy Blazer. It's a great looking truck. The only problem is it decided to break down almost every day of our film shoot. I think most of my gray hair is from that truck. Eventually, we got a tow package, and I tow that monster around to our different locations. But if it wasn't for my team, I think I would still be on the deserted roads today trying to get the damn thing to drive.
Oh man. But hey, if you guys just got to drag it places and do your shots, right?
Yeah. And I think what I learned from that whole thing is like, you know, when there is challenges and obstacles and, you know, systemic failures, the best thing to do is rely on people on your circle, your team, you know, and they're going to help you through these things as much as you help yourself. And also, don't rely on a 30-year-old truck as a star of your movie without making sure it can drive.
Well noted for everyone out there.
Yeah.
Right. All right. I love that. Working with your team and just using the resources that you have around you and turning it around.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing about art is like, um, you can plan as much as you want and organize and communicate and have everything you think. And just when you have everything perfect, some crazy oddball left field detail happens that you can't have planned for. And sometimes it may even make your project better, you know, but
Right.
it's like you got to be able to have a team, you got to be able to figure out what it is that will provide that, you know, spark in your project, and you can still continue moving forward, you know.
Yeah. Fantastic. All right. Well, let's move on to the next section now, to a time where I like to call it your spotlight moment. That one moment in time that you realized, yes, I am going to be an entertainer for a living, or maybe it was, yes, this is what I need to be doing as an entertainer. Tell us about that.
Oh God, that's a hard question. uh one moment. I've always been an entertainer, you know. It just kind of seemed to follow me, you know, follow me around as a kid. My mom would continually be shocked because I would just come home from school and say, "Hey ma, they want me to be in a music video or a film." I I mean, I don't even really remember going out of my way to be cast in those things. It just sort of kind of happened. I don't know. I don't know. I can't really explain that, you know. Oh, I guess I can remember one moment that was kind of foretelling for me.
All right.
Uh, my school used to have a big assembly in this huge theater across the street from our campus. Um, I was 6 or 7 years old, and I just had this feeling like I'd see the stage, I see the stairs going up the backstage area, and I was just dying to go up on stage. And I wasn't really sure what I'd do once I got there.
You
I
just knew you
just
wanted to be there.
I just had this feeling that I needed to go up there. Like it was so exciting. And I don't know, to me, that was a normal thing. Like, I don't know, maybe everybody felt that, but I guess they don't.
No, I'm pretty sure my sister doesn't feel that way. Um, but I get that the stage is a special or magical place, if you will, for us. You know.
Yeah, I definitely felt a calling. So um, that's not really, I don't think I realized it in the moment, but I feel like looking back on it, you know, that's probably a good indicator that I was meant to be on stage. And eventually, luckily, I did
Yeah,
make it
absolutely.
there. Now I never want to leave. You can't get me off.
Right. All right. Well, piggybacking on that question, what was your number one booked it moment? I mean, walk us through that day, the auditions and callbacks, if those were part of it. I mean, what was going on in your life? And what about that moment makes it your favorite booked it moment?
Okay. This is a nice, interesting story. It kind of gets to how I got where I've been the last 5 years. So I just finished up my last contract as a dancer in the show Jubilee. I'm sure you know that what that is, but
Of
the
course.
audience.
Yeah.
It's a legendary showgirl show, and it was the longest running
And the
production
last of its
show.
kind in
The
America,
last,
at least.
yeah, maybe not, maybe one day.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. I was told that my contract would not be renewed. I hadn't really chose to leave on my own terms, and as you can imagine, it was a tumultuous time for me.
Yeah.
um, so kind of trying to figure out what I'm going to do. Um, in this point in a lot of people's careers for dancers that are in their 30s, sometimes there's just not another dance job around for you. Just kind of nature of the beast. That's usually a young man's game. Although male dancers can tend to last longer than others, just because there's a need for them. But not really my route. uh, I remember seeing an audition posting for a feature film called Last Day of School. Um, One interesting thing about the audition post was they kept saying that the person with the best audition will win a prize. Now, I have never heard of anything like that before. That's
At the
is
audition, they said that.
online on Facebook or something. What is this? But hey, I didn't have a job, so I was like, what do I got to lose? I decided that I was going to audition for one of the leads in the film, even though I was a little young for the character. It was a professor character and supposed to be, in his 40s or something. And I am 30s and look 30s, but whatever. There's young professors. I was like, I give it a shot. So I got got the sides downloaded online. It's just one of those giant open call, hundreds of people auditioning kind of things. And I remember just driving my friends crazy by bugging them to run lines with me. But I felt kind of comfortable with this, even though I hadn't really done much film acting in a long, long time. For some reason, when I had this script, I connected with this character. I felt very good about where to go with him. So I think I had about 2 weeks to prep too, which is kind of rare in film auditions. Sometimes you get like 3 days. I guess 3 days is like considered like a good amount of time. Sometimes it's like 24 hours. Anyway, 2 weeks is a lot of time. I walked into the audition and I remember they had 2 audition rooms. So I went and did my audition. In the casting team, there was like this silence. And then they go, we got to show the director. And I was kind of like, okay, I'm a little taken aback here, but that's good. They
Yeah.
ushered me into another room. I guess it was like the main audition room. I don't know how I got stuck in like the secondary one, but just by chance. But it was kind of like an immediate callback. So that's good, I guess. I did my same audition again, and they all just like kind of freaked out a little bit. And they're like, okay, that was great, blah, blah, blah. And then the director kind of like grabbed me by the arm and took me out the door. And he was like in a big rush. And he's like, no matter what happens, we'll find a part for you. And I was just like,
Wow.
what the? Okay. I was very confused.
You're like, well, change our show.
Yeah. I was happy I did a good job. I mean, I think I did anyway.
Well, clearly. And did you get your prize?
Yeah, so it turns out they had decided that I had the best audition. And I was like,
Great.
okay. I don't know. I never got a prize. I don't know what, whatever. It was just like this weird thing. But, it was very gratifying and fulfilling for me. But here's the crazy thing. So they called me and told me that role I had auditioned for was actually meant for the acting coach that was attached to the project. And so that was why it was kind of weird, because I did a better audition than the acting coach did.
Right.
But they had already promised to him. And so they're just going to give me a supporting role. And it was a small part, but hey, it was my first feature film. So
Yeah, absolutely.
I was like, okay, sure, man. But that's not the end. After a week or two, they called me and said they had a big falling out with the acting coach, and the lead role was mine if I wanted it.
Oh, so in the end, you booked it.
Yeah, in the end, I booked it.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and that was kind of the start of how I got back into film acting after doing theater for like almost exclusively 15 years.
Yeah, because when we met, it was right around it was during your last contract over at Jubilee.
Yeah.
And so really most of my, experience with you and hanging out with you, you've been exclusively doing mostly film stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fantastic.
And I haven't really looked back since then. I guess I have 5 feature films under my belt and countless other TV shows and short films. And it just like that moment led to finding my new/old home in the arts world.
Yeah, comes full circle, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, let's take a moment then to talk about the present.
Okay.
What projects are you working on now, or what are you looking forward to? But of course, we are amidst this global pandemic. Um, Maybe just how do you see the entertainment industry moving forward in the next couple of years?
Yeah. So, oof. I'm in production for my latest film now. It's obviously been delayed. I was hoping to film it early April when it wasn't hot, but such as it is, I got a grant for it, and we have to do it before the end of June. So we're shooting it at the end of the month. I co-wrote it, and I'm co-directing it, and we're all really excited. It's called The Turnos, and it's a action adventure fantasy short. It's about the last of the Templars. A girl named Sophia is in a desperate struggle to rescue her brother from a group of immortal beings called the Turnos, and they are hell-bent on starting Armageddon. So we've been working on it a while. We're really excited. The initial thing is to make a short film so we could have a kick-ass trailer, do some film festivals with it, put it on Amazon Prime, and then if it's successful, try to pitch it to Hollywood and or get funding and make it into a feature film trilogy. So it's been a really, really fun process. I've been taking the time during this coronavirus. Is all I have to do is work on that for the most part. So it's getting lots of details are getting hacked out
I can
because I
only
have
imagine.
nothing else. And looking forward, to be honest, I'm just looking forward to getting my shot at Hollywood. But this time from the production side of things. I've always been a dreamer, as you can tell, but Hollywood is most of it is luck a lot of the time. But I've been successful at every step along the way here so far. So the
Just
best
keep
thing I
going.
can do is keep going. And even if Hollywood doesn't come knocking, at least now I can put my own stuff on digital streaming networks, and it can be seen by people. And it isn't just a dusty DVD sitting on my mom's shelf.
Absolutely. I mean, this whole streaming world has really, it's kind of done what I guess Amazon did with books. People can self-publish and make it much easier to get their content out there and distributed. And while, from my understanding, at least of this industry, you need to kind of partner with someone to do distribution and things like this, but there's just more outlets for it now.
There is. I mean, it's a good thing and it's a bad thing in that there's a huge glut of content, but at least it's out there. And if no one, like, people are actively looking for good stuff.
Right.
There's people just combing through Amazon and YouTube and stuff for stuff that's really good. Or if it garners a big following, like, you never know, these networks will come in and next thing you know, you're signed. I've seen it happen. So
Right. That's exciting.
it's great. It's no longer as much. It still is a who you know thing. That definitely still helps the networking and who you know and who has favors and blah blah blah. But at least you have this opportunity, this door open that you didn't really see even 10 years ago, 8 years ago. I think in the last 5 years, it's really taken off.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, moving and moving forward. I mean, who knows, right? With everything that's happened in 2020, it's just been this crazy year. What is the impact going to be for us as far as entertainment goes? I don't know. You don't know. Things are just so out of whack. I'm sure, somebody listening to this in the future is going to be like, oh, well, you guys are stupid because everything blew up. Maybe. I
Right.
mean, I can tell you there's a vacuum. Lots of shows I think are closing. TV shows aren't being made. There's going to be people looking around for stuff to make in theaters, TV networks, digital platforms, at least hopefully. Or maybe they'll just make a bunch more reality TV shows and more DJ sets, and both
Well,
you
let's
trying to
hope not.
yeah.
Fingers crossed for that
I don't need to.
outcome not to be real.
I really like doing this, but so hopefully I don't have to figure something else out for
Great.
now.
All right, well, let's move on to one of my favorite sections in the interview. I call it the Grease Lightning round, where I'm going to ask. Yeah, I think we all know where that came from. So,
Yeah.
well, I'm going to ask you a handful of questions, and I want you to answer them as quickly and concisely as possible. Boom, 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 one after another. Are you ready?
I think I'm going to be really terrible at this.
Okay, well, I guess we'll find out, won't we? Let's do
Okay.
this.
I can't do anything shortly and concisely. It's always a diatribe of just verbal vomit.
All right,
But
well, let's see what we got here.
okay.
Okay, first question. What was the one thing holding you back from committing to a career as an entertainer?
I think lack of confidence was my biggest detriment. Younger me would just get very down on himself. Like it's I guess that's pretty common with people, and it's
Absolutely, but I think that also goes back to your how you were speaking earlier about how you view failure and how you approach it.
yeah, absolutely.
Great. Well, let's do second question. What
Okay.
is the best piece of advice you have ever received?
uh okay. I think some pivotal growth I got as an artist actually was circus clown training. Uh, so I got exposed to that art form, and I just didn't realize that I would become obsessed with it. It seems like the most fun you can have on stage, and it is when you're funny. What I didn't realize is circus clowning is really hard.
Really? I mean, I've done a little bit of it with all of my mascotting, but very, very little actual formal training.
Yeah, it's one of the hardest art forms. But here's a good thing. Ignorance is bliss, though, because sometimes when you don't know, that's even funnier.
Right.
So, before I did any training to be a circus clown, I actually auditioned to be a clown at Le Rev. And this is when they still had clowns ever at the Wynn. And I made it to the end. But everything I made it all the way in. I ended up not booking it. But at the time, I thought this is something I can see myself doing. And I would, I just became obsessed. But a little down the line, again, with me, with no circus training, I thought it'd be a good idea to go to the Cirque du Soleil clown audition. And this is my big moment, right? Like,
Right.
oh, okay, I'm going to get in. That didn't go so well. One of the casting directors there, though, would eventually become one of my teachers, Stephen Haves. One of the things he said to me a couple of years after that audition was, yeah, you failed at that audition, but guess who won? You did. Because you're here in front of me right now, still working and learning. And now if you went into that audition, you'd hold your own. So circus style clown to me is such an amazing art form because it's so hard. It's pass or fail. If you go out on stage and they like you, you're the king of the world. But if you're boring or not in tune with yourself and the audience, then boom, you're dead. You're dead on stage. And everyone just wants to see you leave. It's like this vulnerable thing. It's such a vulnerable position to be in. Uh, this is really long. I'm sorry. This is supposed to be concise, but I can just talk forever. Let me just finish up. The secret I learned from one of the best clowns in the world is to relish that flavor, that failure. They would get up on stage and just laugh afterwards when they fail. They get up on stage and you just suck, and then you know what? Get off stage and be like, man, that sucked. Wasn't it great? And they would learn from it. And I after doing that for a couple of years, it changed something in me. That kind of vulnerability that it takes to do that. It also makes you kind of fearless. It clicked something into place.
Yeah,
I no
because I guess
longer,
you realize you're like, you really come up to that moment of what's the worst that could happen, and not much.
yeah, yeah. I no longer have this, am I good enough kind of self-conscious doubter sitting on my shoulder telling me that if I fail, it will be the end of everything. I walk into an audition now and I'm like, wait, you're giving me lines to read and directions to follow? Well, this is easy compared to being a clown.
Right. Because you're just
Like,
working with your environment and things like this.
yeah, I mean, you have to go out on stage and you have to connect with the audience. You have to be vulnerable yourself. You have to, there's so much intricacies of what's going on. And you have to be so present in the moment that if you're not, you just lose it. And then you're not funny. And then it's awful.
Right.
I still get nervous, of course, but I don't get that gut wrenching, paralyzing adrenaline that I used to get when I was younger, you know?
Absolutely.
So sorry, that was really long. I told you I'd be bad at this.
No, it's all right. We're getting through them all. So let's
Okay.
do question number 3. What
Okay.
is something that is working for you now, or if you'd like to go pre-COVID, what was working for you before our industry went on pause?
I think the decision to make my own art, not being reliant on what another director or producer thinks of you, you know, is so freeing. I go into auditions like, so what if I screw it up? I'll just keep working on my own projects.
Yeah, and fulfill that artistic side of things and the creation yourself.
Yeah. It, you know, being comfortable and at ease with myself is a big advantage in auditioning. And I don't feel that pressure of like, oh my God, if I don't get this, then I'm not going to do anything artsy for, months. And you're like, whatever, I'll just write something.
Right.
So,
That's fantastic. All right, well, let's go to the next question. What is the best resource, whether that's a book, a movie, a YouTube video, a podcast, some piece of technology, hardware, software that you found that is helping your career right now?
okay. So I have a subscription to Masterclass, and I've gone through every single directing, writing, acting class, and now I'm just going into different random things for inspiration. And I love it. I, listen to it while I'm in the car, and it just gives a great perspective on people who are hugely successful in the industry and what they've done and what they do. And that to me is like the best learning experience, because you can go to school, but a lot of times a professor isn't as successful as someone who's doing it full time. And
Yeah.
so, you want to find out what people who have made it are doing, not necessarily like what an old textbook is saying, So I love that as a resource.
Fantastic. Yeah, I've seen ads on it. It comes up on my YouTube ads all the time.
Yeah.
Clearly, they think I'm into that stuff, which I am. I just haven't, well, I just haven't subscribed to it. But I've seen it and it looks fantastic.
And this is a random plug, but every Christmas they do like buy one, get one free. So that's always a good time if you want to share with a friend and get 50% off or whatever.
Oh, sweet. Okay. All right. Well,
I have some good books in case there's anybody interested in indie film.
yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
Indie Film Producing by Suzanne Lyons. And another one I'm very interested in about pitching ideas and getting people interested in projects. There's a book called Pitch Anything by Orrin Claff. And those books have been really, really helpful for me on the production side of things. I think it'd be good for all indie filmmakers who are interested to read the film producing book, even if they don't produce their own stuff. It's just a good overview of what needs to go on, so you know how things should run. And
Right.
the pitch anything can be used by anybody, because it really is just learning good communication, and what you can do to help people see your point of view and agree with you, or get people on your side. So it's amazing.
Fantastic. Yeah, I love that Pitch Anything book. If I recall, was I the one that referred that book to you?
You weren't, although you may have like mentioned it, but sometimes things take a couple times to beat into my universe that I should actually do it. So, but I did get it from another producing friend of mine.
Oh,
So,
fantastic. It's a great book.
oh, it's awesome.
All right. Well, let's go to the fifth question. I like this one. If you had to start your career from scratch, but you still had all the knowledge and experience you've collected from your career in the industry, what would you do or not do? Would you do anything differently or the same?
Ooh, um, I think with a few exceptions, I'd keep it the same, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've learned so much from everything I've done and experienced. Like maybe there's a job opportunity I turned down here or there, or an agent offer I could have pursued that maybe I would now go back and do. But so many great things have happened because of the path I've taken. It's hard for me to say I'd change anything.
Yeah.
Maybe the only thing I'd do different is like train more consistently as an actor. When I was younger, I kind of would do it, but I would be inconsistent, and I don't know. It was interesting because like you'd think, just be an actor, but like I said, had confidence stuff, and I happened to be good enough as a dancer to work professionally from as a teenager, and so I kind of just got into this little realm of dancing, and I kind of wish that I had also kept up the acting training, but you know whatever.
Yeah.
uh,
Hindsight 2020, but it's always
yeah.
good to know? All right. And the last question. What is the golden nugget knowledge drop you've learned from your successful career in this industry that you'd like to leave with our listeners?
Oh, this is my favorite. Okay, you ready?
Yes.
Don't be a dick. Look, man, working actors, even working actors that are in Hollywood and stuff, they're hunting for their next job. They're always on a project filming, and they're looking around being like, okay, well, what's next? And you know this more than anybody because you're the best gig worker I've ever seen. But if you're a dick and you alienate people in your workplace, you're not working for them again. And that's a problem for people such as us. So be humble, be considerate, and always just take the note.
Absolutely. I mean, I like to say, be nice to everybody.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's funny. And the master class thing. One of the things that I've seen, almost everybody talks about is don't be a jerk in the workplace. Like it's one of the things that's common with everybody. Also, I've noticed it's not the most talented people who have successful careers in show business. It's the most persistent people. They
Absolutely.
are, yeah, they are the ones who make art, not because they want to, but because they have to.
Right. I love that.
Yeah. And, oh, being talented helps too.
Well,
But
naturally. But but I think that this industry is so diverse that I think depending on whatever it is that your level of talent, whatever it might be, has a place somewhere.
yeah,
Um, and if it's your passion, do it.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, great. Well, I think it's time to wrap this baby up. And that means it's also time for you to give yourself a plug. Where can we find you? How do we connect with you? Is there anything you want to promote?
Sure. You can find me on all social media at Michael Forsch. So that's pretty consistent. Give me a follow if you like occasional dumb food takes and pictures of me and my wife traveling, and also some film stuff too.
Yeah, perfect. Love it. All right, Michael, fantastic. Thank you so much for being on today.
Yeah, man.
Thank you so much for joining us today. My one call to action for you is to go to youbookeditpodcast.com and join our free email community, where we dig deep into a continually growing resource of truly actionable things you can be doing right now to help you advance your entertainment career. Don't miss an episode. We have a new guest 7 days a week. Search for You Booked It on Apple Podcast or your favorite podcast app and subscribe today. All the best to you. We'll see you tomorrow.